It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. We are revisiting Cookie Alliance, and we are using the new cookies, Schwarz and one of our BTS cookies. Reason being is that we found that this team handles very, very well in the auto setting, in the sense that you don't have to micromanage it and you can get pretty far, as long as you have good toppings, good research labs, good landmarks, all of that you traditionally need, but nonetheless, the team itself does very well. So, what's happening is this. Schwarz is using the attack speed. You can run it with other things. Attack speed, cooldown, damage resistance, critical. Those are about the best things that are working on Schwarz. Main thing is, if you really want this team to go really far, like wave 55 plus, you're going to need some high damage resistance toppings. I personally have not invested into too many toppings that have high damage resistance because I like to find builds that don't solely depend on having the highest defense possible, especially as the game develops. You can see that most cookies are already taking care of that on their own between their skills, so that means that eventually it will phase out the need for damage resistance toppings, and we'll just have more need for brute attacks, speed attacks, more clever setups. So, for that reason, if you have the almonds that have 40 plus damage resistance, go ahead and put it on everybody except the BTS cookie. You can just do cooldowns on the BTS cookie. But regardless, the main things you need to focus on are having the attack speed on Schwarz and having the attack speed on the BTS cookie. If you have that, they will get the robes buff. Well, the magic candy will give an attack speed buff to Purple Yam as well. So, you don't actually have to have attack speed focus on Purple Yam for that reason. Now, yes, we have 3 technical cookies here that will not deal any damage whatsoever. So we are solely relying on 2 specific cookies. But what's happening is, because of the attack speed, speeding up that animation for Schwarz, our stuns are so often that it's stun locking quite a lot of teams. Now, because we do have less damage resistance, it can't auto into the high waves, but it still does a very, very good job. And what I mean by that is this. We'll start at wave 41. We're not going to make you watch all the way from wave 1. There's no point of that. You already have seen the season itself. So let me just show you what this team does and how it does it. So, main thing is Purple Yam, Schwarz, they're the ones dealing the damage. Schwarz with that high attack speed, getting those stun locks, making it so the enemy team just barely even has a chance to do anything. Like you can see there, Alchemist and Poison Mushroom, they didn't even have a chance to ignite most of their poison attacks. So that's why our team was just pushing through. Now, as you can see, even with 3 healers, we're still taking a lot of damage. This is the wave that does quite a lot of damage. And if you don't have at least high enough damage resistance, you're going to have some cookie fatalities. And as you can see, we did have to use our revive on our pure vanilla there. Now, at this point, we're going to be able to re-heal up, so we're not in too much danger. So wave 44 with this team, you're probably going to want to switch to a more damage-dealing team, like Team 2, the Speed team, Team 4, the T-Knight team. That will make a difference there. But after that wave, you can come back to this team, and it does a good job. And that's because this team is really designed in the sense that it can deal some pretty massive damage. As you can see, we've only gone 6 waves, and we've already done 27 million. But the healing itself is still super, super reduced. So you got to remember that there's not enough protection to make sure that they don't die without too much interference. Where if you have a team that has more damage dealers, you're going to be able to clear waves faster, which means overall take less damage. Hence why traditional teams only have 2 healers, usually at the most, maybe like 1 if it's a really powerful damage resistance team. And that's why I was saying if you have the option to have damage resistance, then it's probably better to run that team. So as you can see here, Vampire's able to sneak in, get the 2 back cookies, and so this team autos up to wave 48 on its own. And when I say autos, I mean like if you have enough labs, if you have enough damage resistance, if you have enough of all that, you're going to be able to go from wave 1 to 48 with just that team. If you micromanage it and you blend between the other teams when you need to switch, you can actually make this setup go all the way to 60. I've definitely seen it from a few of my guild members, but they do have the almonds on for damage resistance. And in fairness, for right now, in most game modes, having the highest DR usually does mean having the upper hand in a lot of situations, so it's not necessarily surprising. But the team itself does a really good job. One thing you can also do is you can replace Purple Yam with Wildberry and just go completely stuntastic, but you'd have to do cooldowns on Wildberry to make that happen, and then you get more damage resistance between Wildberry and Cream Unicorn to really push the bar. Or, if you feel that you're comfortable with 2 healers, you can remove Pure Vanilla and put Wildberry in as well. That is an option. Just do remember that you've got to have some really powerful toppings on the 2 healers that you do leave by, so that they are amply getting enough healing going on your units, because the waves themselves, pretty hard, pretty challenging. So do consider that. But let me know what you guys think of the team itself. It's a really powerful team, even though it's only 1,000,000 power, just because we have 3 cookies that don't deal damage. But it's a really fun team, and it works really well in the Guild Alliance setup overall. I'm sure there's 100 other different ways that you could technically run to get pretty far in the waves. And there's a lot of micromanaging you could do to make it work pretty well. But it's a fun setup. I mean, sometimes you got to build for fun. Sometimes you got to build for competitiveness. Do what makes sense for you. But I wanted to at least show you guys what I used. And you can see right there my rank, number 2,686 in the Pure Vanilla server. So the setup itself definitely carried me a far long way. And in fairness, to give you context, I definitely have the labs and the upgrades from the monuments and everything, but they're not maxed out. They're not there yet. You can see the attack bonuses are pretty high. HP and defenses are pretty high. But the overall alliance ones, they're not perfect just yet. So there's still room for my team to grow. Once I max out all of these, I'm sure that I could probably auto to wave 60 with any team as long as it has some synergy to it. So do keep that in consideration, that if you don't have these specific upgrades, you probably will run into some issues in some lower waves, and therefore you're maybe not going to make it as far as a single auto team. That's why I don't really tout this as a team that can handle for every player at every skill level. So please don't take it that way, but it's a strong team that can do a really good job through all of the waves because of the synergies that it has. So let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts or feedback. I appreciate you guys for stopping by, and best of luck on your BTS events, and hope you get those rewards. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.